Welcome all of you to Creston, British Columbia. It's your buddy Uncle Bruce here, Stock Markets with Bruce, as he is a little behind getting things organized, but I have a good reason for that. Uncle Bruce here, Stock Markets. I have a real good reason for that. We're drowning in boxes around here. It's just a mess, and I don't know how. I really have trouble envisioning the fact that this house will be empty in 48 hours, that there'll be nothing in it in 48 hours from what we have had to where we are. I do recognize tremendous advancements have been made in the last week, 2, 3, but I just have a tough time envisioning that. Are you kidding me? That everything in here is gone? Unbelievable. We are moving from Creston. Thank you for joining us for Stock Markets with Bruce here in Canada. It's your buddy Uncle Bruce as we try to cover the markets in plain English while moving at the same time. Not easily done. Becoming a nomad. Jennifer and I, Aunt Jen and I are heading out of here to become traveling nomads for the foreseeable future. And we're kind of excited. We're kind of nervous. We're kind of all the emotions. They're all flying out. We are finding stuff in the house that we have forgotten about. When you're 65 going on 66, you got to cut me a break, kids. I'm not a 25-year-old college kid moving from home to a college campus. I'm not a 30-year-old who's moving from a college campus to a real house, or from an apartment with a buddy into our own place. We have 40 plus years together. We got crap. Like a lot of you have crap, we've got crap. And we have moved many times and have had the purge many times, but it never stops. The purge never ends. If you folks think out there, oh, I'll watch how Uncle Bruce moves. It's easy. I'll do when it's our turn to move, we'll do the purge like Uncle Bruce. It'll be easy. He'll show me the way. Gosh darn it, the heck, it's not easy at all. It is unbelievable. You start going through boxes that you realize, this is the third time I'm going through this box. In 15 years, this is the third time I'm going through this box. This box is from 1995, or it's from 2000, or it's from 2007, back in 07, this was the final solution. This stuff was supposed to be dealt with for once and for all. Here we are in 2021, dealing with it again. Welcome to Wednesday. Richard, thank you for letting me know it's Wednesday. Thank you. It is Wednesday today, which means it's earnings day today for Gamestop. And it's earnings day today for, I think, Rocket Lab, they tell me. And so we've got two stocks that are going to report today after the market. And we're going to find out how they're doing. One of the two companies, Rocket Lab, is a brand new listed company, and we can cut it all kinds of slack because they do not have to come out with a blockbuster earnings report. They do not have to come out with a lot of detail per se. They've just gone public. They've just divulged everything about everything they are, and they're just starting to trade, starting to become followed, and the stock is beginning to get discovered by new investors. It's all good at Rocket Lab, and the stock did okay the last week or two. I mean, who's complaining? We were sitting around the $10, $11 neighborhood, and yesterday we were 16.46, all-time high. Right now 14.17. We're jumping all over the place. I'm cutting Rocket Lab all the breaks it deserves, being a new company. The other one, GameStop, however, they have to deliver something today. They have to begin to give us an indication of their progress down the road, heading down the road they wanted to head down. And we have Mr. Ryan Cohen in charge of the company now as chairman of the board. He has a CEO in place. He has CFO in place. They have product development teams. They have VPs. They have all their people in place at GameStop. Now, admittedly, many of them have only been there for a few months, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. I get it. It's okay. I'm not looking for the kind of changes that would be life altering changes in 3 months' time, because after all, we're talking about a 20-plus-year-old company beyond that, even beyond that, who's, we got a lot of work to do on a very big ship. Let's just say this is a big old cruise ship that started sailing in the 90s and the early 2000s, and we're now trying to modernize it to 2021, 2022 standards. You don't do that in 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 5 weeks, 12 weeks. I get it. But you do indicate to the staff or to its investors, which would be my viewers here, you do indicate to the investors just where you're at, where you're going, and how it's coming along, and where are you headed to? Where are we going? And today might be a very good day today for GameStop to do just that. Should we sell a covered call on Rocket Lab to anticipate a dip following earnings that has affected some of our stocks recently? There's always the proverbial question. Rocket Lab is not an established publicly traded company like the others that are out there, and so you're totally gambling, and I have no way to give you direction either way. I can't say it'll definitely go up, it'll definitely go down, or it'll definitely do nothing. There's no way I can say it. I have no way of predicting how these shares are going to trade once the earnings come out. There will be speculators all day long taking their positions, long and short, and there will be winners, losers, and break-eveners. Cyxtera has a few things going for it. The float is smaller due to the 65% redemptions, and it could move if buyers show up. Will they, though, is the question. Well, you only need 35% of the buyers you would have had to have needed to move the market before because of the redemptions. So that's kind of interesting. The company gets any kind of good news, and they generally do get good news because they're earning more money. The stock could really gyrate. Yeah, and of course, Cyxtera has been jumping around just like a crazy stock lately. We were as low as looks like $7 or $8 or something like that, $7.50 for the low, and just yesterday we reached 10 something, and here we are now at 9.34. So we are jumping about. Is it a bad move to just sit on my GameStop $180 covered calls at this point and just decide to roll over or continue to wait until tomorrow? The lower the shares go right now, the closer in to your price that you sold these 180s for. When the stock was 230, you were $50 in the money on your contracts. Now you're $12 in the money. So because it dies in a week, this contract is shrinking in value dramatically. So you're getting to the point where you could theoretically buy this contract back for less than you sold it for. You can still do a rollover anytime you want. You have to decide for yourself what you want to do. I mean, you could buy back this contract and write a 180 for the next week. You could just do something that simple. You could buy this call back and write a $200 call contract for 3 or 4 weeks out and probably get just as much money for that contract that this one will cost you to buy. You've just lifted your exercise price by $20 a share or more, depending how far out you can go. I mean, you are in a much better position now, or just as you've always been in this position. I shouldn't say much better. You're in the same position you've been the whole time. You could have bought this call back for $55 a contract, $65 a contract, written a $65 contract with a $230 exercise price or a $250 exercise price for 6 months out. You could have written a $300 call option with 6 months to go for $60 when the stock hit higher. I mean, you could have. I'm not saying you definitely could have, but it's possible. Maybe you could have written a $250 or something like that. But here you are. You're here now. Here you are. You're coming into expiry day. You don't have to do anything. You do not have to do anything. And you can just let the stock do whatever it wants to do. Let your option go wherever it's going to go. Because at the moment, it's worth $12.46 book value. That's the value of the contract. plus time value, of course, but in book value terms, it's $12.46. Now, what happens with the stock all day today, all day tomorrow, and all day Friday? They're going to go to 240. If they do, the stock goes to 240, you're 60 in the money again. You can buy it back and write a $300 call contract, good for 6 months, probably for just as much money. Most likely you can. But you could make a rollover now if you want to, or do nothing. If the shares go down to 170 Friday afternoon, this contract is $10 out of the money. You're now, your call has no value other than whatever time is left on it. So you're in the control position. Believe it or not, you're in control. When you write a contract, you're not helpless. You have moves you can make, and you're still looking at them. So up to you how you want to do this. I thought I understood writing option contracts, but now I understand them even more. I feel like I've reached options enlightenment thanks to you. Well, I do the best I can. There are 10 lessons for you available on the website, stockmarketswithbruce.ca. There are 10 lessons waiting for you to do this, to learn this, to day trade covered call writing contracts. How you can become a day trader writing and buying back covered calls multiple times a day, a week. How to generate income from your stock by loving your stock. Love it. You'll love it. But there are ways to bring money in here. There are ways to protect yourself with rollovers. This is why we have these lessons, folks. There are 10 lessons waiting for you. They are cheap. They are bargains for you. You will make more money off of any one of my lessons the minute you start employing some of these techniques. Way more money than the cost of the lessons. I mean, they would just immediately pay you back. Is there anyone here who is watching me right now that has benefited at all from any of the lessons that they've watched? Are any of you ahead of the game, smarter than you were before, making money like you never thought you made before? Are there folks here making money on their options that they didn't think they could do? It's not like I'm saying you're going to be a millionaire, but you're going to bring in revenue from your holdings. Why not be paid to hold these stocks? My gosh, some of you I know put your toe in the water. You had 300 GameStop shares. You wrote one contract. Let's just see what happens if I write one. I still have 200 over here. I'm not going to touch those. And then you do that, and you did it again, and you did it again, and you're going, hey, wait a minute. Why don't I do this with all 300 of my shares? This is easy. I have full control here. I can end this game anytime I want. You got to buy into it. You got to be comfortable with it. Check it out. When GameStop moons, how much money can people lose that are tied up with option contracts? They don't lose money. They roll over, and they just keep winning. You win eventually on the rollovers. You see, you folks who don't believe in option writing don't get it, that just because the stock goes up doesn't mean you can't roll over your contract to a higher strike price for a further time out. Sooner or later, the stock will reach a point, and then pause, rest, maybe consolidate 5 or 10%. That's where the option writer wins in the end. They are options that they wrote die worthless. They keep the money they've been writing options with, keep the stock. It's at $1,000 a share. They're with you. They're richer than you are. That's just the way it is. But you got to put the work in, and you got to have the chutzpah to write the calls. Don't you take losses each time you roll over if the stock keeps climbing? I can write calls, but I don't have extra cash to take losses and roll over. You see, the thing is, when you roll over to a call that is equal to the price of the call you're buying back. Or when you do a rollover, the new call you are selling, writing, creating is worth more money than the call you're buying back. You're actually building cash in your account as you do rollovers. That's what's been happening here with a number of the viewers. They've been buying back a call for more than they sold it for to write another call for even more than they're buying this one for. and they're bringing in more cash, $1 a share, $2 a share, $8 a share, $15 a share, $20 a share, more cash coming in on rollovers. And when you do a rollover with your platform trading systems, you can do the simultaneous rollover through your broker without additional cash required. You can do it. It's easily done. What can I say? Folks, writing GameStop, you mostly writing close within like a week or two. Is that what you're doing? This is a question. Are you writing really short-term contracts? There are folks writing contracts that die this Friday. They are writing them to buy them back later today. There are people writing calls that die this Friday that are not going to buy them back. They're writing 200s or 210s, and they don't expect to buy them back at all. They're going to die worthless. That is the strategy amongst a number of people here. A number of others here are writing calls that die this Friday that are going to buy them back this afternoon for less money. Why? They're one, the contract's out of the money. Two, 3 more hours will have passed by, and that's less time left for the contract to live. It will shrink in value. You make $1 a contract on a write. You write it and buy it back for $1 less. You just made $100. Now, if you can do that 4 times a day, you're making $400 a day. If you write a contract in the morning for $12 and buy it back in the afternoon for $8, you've made $400 profit. People do the math and go, let me see. If I can make $400 in a day, that's kind of like making $2,000 a week. That's kind of like making $100,000 a year. And I work full-time for my boss at so-and-so sucks company, and they pay me $60,000 a year. Why would I do that when I can do this? I'm watching Uncle Bruce for these lessons, and I've figured out how to do this. Why should I do that? You see, there's this and there's that. Folks, check out stockmarkersbruce.ca, catch a lesson 2 or 3 or 4 or 10, and become a little smarter than others. You only need to be smarter than half of the market players.